So it's April here in Kentucky, and without a question, turkey season is on a lot of people's minds, especially with this beautiful weather we're having out here. Youth season starts tomorrow. It's Saturday and Sunday, and then following up on April 18th, it's the adult season. So it's that time of year. It's a great time to get out and enjoy, especially with all the things going on right now in the world. You can practice responsible recreation, get out, maintain your social distancing, but still enjoy nature and the outdoors and have a successful turkey season. One thing that we always need to remember is safety while we're in the turkey woods. And I've been doing this job now for almost 20 years, and I can recall back over the years of my career, more times than not, we experience at least one, sometimes multiple, incidents in the turkey woods, accidental shootings, or misidentified targets. Several different reasons behind the way they occur, but the one common factor is they're all avoidable. And if everybody would remember these few things we're going to discuss here over the next few minutes, I think it will help everybody have a safe and enjoyable time in the woods. One thing I want to reiterate is some people will hear this and think, well, I don't hunt public land, so it's not an issue. I have a private farm, and I'm the only one that has permission to hunt on it. That is true to some extent, but you should never let your guard completely down, even though you're hunting on private property, and we can discuss that further. So first is positively identify your target. Be absolutely certain it's a turkey before you pull the trigger, and this sounds trivial, but it's true. Even veteran hunters sometimes get caught up in the excitement and don't fully assess the situation. So make sure it's a turkey. The bird should be clearly visible. You need to see the entire bird. Of course, you can only shoot male turkeys in the fall, or bearded turkeys. So you need to get the turkey to where you can actually identify, number one, that it's legal and that it is a turkey. And also pay attention to what's beyond the turkey, your shot path to and beyond the bird. I've had a couple of different accidents that I've worked over the years to where this was exactly what happened. The individual was calling the bird was responding, just textbook turkey hunt. He thought the bird was just over the rise from him. It had just gobbled. He's seen some movement and shot. Well, come to find out, another hunter had slipped in between him and the bird, and he shot the other hunter. So completely unavoidable. Some issues with the other hunter slipping in. That's something we'll talk about in a minute. But once again, positively identify your target. Never stalk a turkey or turkey sounds. Movement or sounds you think are a turkey may be another hunter, so be patient and take up a position of calling to where the bird comes to you. Once again, turkey hunting is a little different than deer hunting. So deer hunting, you typically go to a stand, you have a stand site picked out, you go to that stand, you sit, you wait on the deer. With turkeys, a lot of times, especially the guys that run and gun, you're listening for the bird, you're going to the bird's making noises, so you know where the bird is. And not only that, the hunter is making noises as well, and in full camo. So it can it presents some other challenges, I guess is the best way to put it. So by being more mobile, turkey hunting seems to be slightly more dangerous when people don't take these safety considerations into effect. Once again, assume every noise and movement is another hunter, not a turkey. So that's one of those things, especially on public land. I hunt public land quite a bit. Every time I hear yelps, my first thing goes through my mind is it's somebody. A lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's a hen. Even when the calling sounds terrible, I've heard some hens in the woods that sound worse than any caller I've seen. So assume that each sound is another hunter, and give it space and just address the situation accordingly. Don't try to sneak up on it. Protect your back. This has kind of been a tip in turkey hunting for years. Not only it was a tip to be more successful, to break up your outline so the bird doesn't pick you out, but it's also a safety measure as well. So put your back up against a large tree or rock or some kind of barrier. Once again, if you're sitting there in full camo making turkey sounds, someone sneaks in from behind, at least you've got a barrier there in case you they were to see some type of movement or something. That's just one more step in being safe. And then if you do see someone approaching your position, yell loudly, stop, clear voice, and let them know that you're in the area. Don't wave to them. Your movement could be mistaken for a turkey. They could take a shot. Don't wave to them. Clear, loud voice, stop, hey, announce your presence, let them know you're there. So we want to, you got any questions?
What if I own a small property, and I know neighbors are going to be hunting as well? What can we do to make sure we're safe in that regard?
Excellent question. So the question is, what if I own a small property and I'm hunting, my neighbors are hunting, what can we do to make sure we're safe in that situation? Communication is the key here. Make sure you talk to your neighbors, make sure that you're aware of property lines, that anybody you have hunting on you is aware of property lines, same way with them, and then come to an agreement that, hey, we won't hunt right on the property line. That way there's no potential for interference with each other, where you ruin each other's hunt, or a safety concern. And that goes true for even large blocks of private land to where you've got more than one hunter on it. The best thing to do is divide that up before the morning starts. Either a landmark, a fence row, a creek, anything like that. Sit down, communicate, talk to each other and say, hey, I'm going to hunt the south side of the creek. Everything on the north side's yours. I won't cross, and you don't come on my side. Even if all the birds are on your side gobbling that morning, stick to your boundaries. That way there's no incident to where even on private property you cross over and I'm not expecting you over on my side, then it could cause problems. And we see that a lot too in the spring woods. Several of the incidents we've had occur over the years have been on private property. Everybody thinks public property is the most dangerous. We get several shooting incidents a year on private property to where the same people aren't communicating and they get confused on where people are at, and there ends up being an accidental shooting in that aspect as well. So, and then let's see what else we got here. Eliminate red, white, blue colors from your clothing. These are typical colors found on the head and neck of mature gobblers. So this color thing has been a problem as well. And the biggest issue with color is white. I'll tell you why. I've seen a lot of guys dressed in full camo and they wear a white t-shirt like they do every other day of the week, and it shows right here. So there's usually a little V or patch of white that shows here. And the other issue is socks. So you put on your long white socks that you wear typically with your boots and stand up and everything's good. Your pants are out over top of your boots. When you sit down next to a tree and pull your knees up so you can set your shotgun on your knee, your pants right up, your white socks are showing. Number one, the turkey's more than likely going to see it, so it's not very good tactic. You need to pay attention to that for your camo, but it also creates a huge safety issue with that white, especially the V-neck, walking through the woods, the white moving around through the woods. So those colors, avoid them. Make sure your camo from head to toe, inside and out. You won't have to worry about that. Pre-select the zone of fire. Shoot a turkey only in a predetermined zone. This is easy for you guys to hunt with decoys. Once you pick your setup where you're going to sit down, pick your spot, put your decoys there, and say, this is where I'm going to shoot. It's a safe way to shoot. It's a predetermined distance. You can put your turkey decoys out there so you know your distance and beyond. If you're not hunting with decoys, just think about it before you sit down, especially if you're calling or hunting in a pair. Talk about it before you set up. Hey, if the bird comes this side of the ridge, I'm going to shoot. If it comes on that side, you shoot. I'm sitting at this tree. Where are you at? Because sometimes two different hunters will spread out. We've had a bird walk between two hunters before, and inadvertently one shoots at the bird and actually killed the bird, but shot his buddy on the other side of the bird. So things like that. Once again, poor communication. Safe, responsible hunting companions. I think that goes without saying. Know the people you're hunting with and where they are at all times. I don't see this a lot. It's not required by law. It's a good idea to wear hunter orange entering and leaving when you're going turkey hunting. If you don't do that, at least if you harvest a bird, put it in like a hunter orange netting bag, or wear an orange flag outside your vest. Most turkey vests anymore have an orange flag. You can open up the compartment and pull it out and hang it over the bird when you're carrying it out. And then last one, practice courtesy, self-control at all times. This probably goes more on the public land side. So if you're hunting public land, yes, it's open to everybody. Everybody's got a right to be there. But there are some unwritten rules on public land. If that's the spot you want to go to, you need to make sure you're the man there first at the gate, or the woman. If you're not, you show up and there's somebody else there, go to plan B. Don't pull in on top of them. Don't drive past them down the road 100 yards to where they can't see your truck and get out and walk out in front of them. Those are just not courteous things to do on public ground, and it ends up causing safety issues because the guy doesn't know where you are. If there's enough room past the gate, talk with each other and say, hey, I'll take the left side of the road, you take the right, but have some common courtesy hunting public land. Talk to each other, communicate. So you're not only is it a safety thing, you don't want to ruin each other's hunt. You've both got up with the same thing in mind, to get there early, to have a good hunt. So if you communicate, you could both have a good hunt. If you don't, you're probably going to ruin each other's hunt. So once again, communication. And another big thing that we encounter when I talked about this doesn't only apply to public land, is private land and trespassing. So even though you're on private property, even if it's 1,000 acres and you're the only person that has permission to be there, you still got to be cognizant that there may be somebody there. Unfortunately, in today's times, and we see it on a regular basis working in the law enforcement side, some unscrupulous hunters pay no attention to property lines or posted signs. So you should always be cautious and be conscientious that there may be somebody else on your private property. Because here's the deal: deer hunting, trespassing to some extent, turkey hunting's worse. The bird's gobbling, so they know the bird's there. If they're on the property they have permission to hunt on and there ain't a bird gobbling anywhere and there's one on the neighbor, sometimes those guys just can't stand it. Some of them lets the urge to be successful override their ethics, or making an ethical decision of not going. So seems to me that the vocalization of the turkeys and turkey gobbling causes some people to trespass more than they otherwise would. So that being said, even on big chunks of private ground, make sure you know that it's a turkey you're shooting at, and make sure that when you hear turkey sounds, you kind of always think in the back of your mind, that could be a hunter, and it may be. So what other questions we have?
What do I do if I have trespassing on my property?
Good question. So trespassing, I hope you don't run into it, but I'm confident you probably will. So violation-wise, trespassing is something that we need to address immediately. So if you encounter a trespasser on your property, call 911. That will send you to the nearest Kentucky State Police post, and they will dispatch the closest on-duty conservation officer to you to respond. So we will get there. We may have somebody right down the road. We might be in the next county. We will get there as soon as we can. If we can't get there right then, we have contact with our local sheriff's departments, Kentucky State Police. We will send somebody right then. The one thing I ask you not to do is don't confront them if possible. Sometimes you may run into them in the woods and confront them without intent. Don't confront them, and don't tell them we're coming, because usually people will confront them and say, hey, I'm calling the game warden. Well, by the time we get there, they're gone. So if you see them walk across your ridge out in a field, just call us and let us come find them and address the situation that way. What we won't do is show up and tell them to leave or ask them to leave. If you just want them to leave, then you can do that. If we're going to respond, we would like for you to be willing to press charges on them for trespassing. There's seems to be a increase in this at times, so we don't have the manpower to run to each call just to ask somebody to leave. Whenever we show up, we're going to take enforcement action, or we would like to. but that is up to the landowner. So that's a good thing that if you're leasing the property, we still need the landowner's permission to prosecute, even though you have it leased. So make sure, talk to the landowner, or if you're the landowner, make sure before you make that call, you're willing to prosecute. And if you are, we'll be there as soon as we can get there. Another thing I've got up on the screen here is Tip 411. We just started this back in November, right before gun season. So this is an anonymous app you can download on your smartphone, or you can do it on our webpage. But it is a way for you to submit tips to us, to law enforcement. It's completely anonymous. You can upload pictures, videos, and text to the tip. It comes straight to our law enforcement division, and we will take a look at it and investigate. We can also respond back to you. It will be anonymous from our end back to you as well, so you won't know. It'll be one of us in the law enforcement division conversing with you. But this is a great way that if you're out there and you run across, if you're on public land or even private, and you run across a bait pile, if you can take a picture of that bait pile, get us some GPS coordinates, submit it, we can immediately go in, document it, and work that. Any other violation you see that you maybe want us to know about, but you don't want to get heavily involved from a personal standpoint, this is a perfect way to do that. We have made some great deer cases since November by people being able to anonymously turn in people and provide us information. And that's what we need. We can't be everywhere at once. So we always, when we get a chance, ask the sportsmen out there to really help us by providing us information and make sure everybody enjoys the resource and does it the right way. Because like I said, we can't be everywhere at once, and we rely heavily on hunters and fishermen to help us out. Some of the best cases we make are from information submitted. We simply can't be everywhere at once, and the chances of us being in the right spot at the right time when that person illegally kills that turkey is pretty slim. So I think we got another question.
Should I load my gun at the truck or wait till I'm out from the safety perspective?
From a safety standpoint, wait till you get out in the field. You're walking. If you got a blind set up, I'd wait till I got to the blind to load it. The guys that run a gun and chase turkeys, probably not going to wait until they get set up, but it's safer. Sometimes you get wrapped up in the moving on the bird, crawling. We see a lot of people crawling after turkeys, which is very seldom successful, but a lot of people do it, so you need to take that in mind when you're doing it with a loaded shotgun. This reaping thing has become very popular with turkey hunters, and that's crawling with a loaded gun and the turkey fan, and it poses its own set of risks versus reward situation. It's very successful. I've seen a lot of videos where they kill a lot of turkeys doing it. I'm sure a lot of turkeys get wounded doing it. It seems to be that's usually a 2 or 3 shots at the bird running off before they finally kill it. So but that's personal choice. It's legal here in Kentucky. If you want to hunt that way, then just take some safety considerations in mind. Always unload your gun if you're crossing fences, crossing creeks, any kind of dangerous situation like that where you're navigating through the woods. Just pop the shell out, get across, stick it back in, and just be on the safe side. Accidents can happen to guys that have hunted for years. We had an accidental discharge this past year. It was actually from a trapper, but guy had been in the woods his entire life and just had an accidental discharge and was very lucky that he survived it. So just be safe out there. We're good? So beautiful weather. Get out and enjoy. Take a kid hunting this weekend if you've got one that you can take. It's going to be a wonderful weekend. Birds are gobbling. I've seen a lot of turkeys in the field strutting the last few days, few weeks. And then I hope everybody gets out and has a safe, successful turkey season. And please call us if you need us. We'll be there. Or send us some information if you run across something. Thank you.